Yours?
Good Iowa sign that.
You were out in it then. I wasn't, I was inside.
No, I got a little, walk down to the station and got the cookie from the city hall.
All right, I have 7 o'clock.
It was miserable.
It is 7 o'clock on Thursday, August 10th. This is the regular city council meeting for the city of Alburnett. We will go ahead and call the meeting to order. First item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll please rise if able. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We will go ahead and do a roll call, please.
Council Trump. Council Rosenberg. Present. Council Shantz. Council Myers.
Present.
No, TJ is not here.
Please let the record reflect that we do have a quorum to conduct business tonight. Any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes.
All right, I would seek a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Shantz, second by Rosenberg. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And we'll recognize our sheriff deputies.
We met required hours for the month of July, and we had about 12 calls for service since the last meeting. Nothing that I'm seeing that's out of the ordinary. Anyone has any questions, comments, concerns?
I would like to send a thank you to Deputy Yoder, who helped support us during the 5K event, keeping our runners safe this past weekend, so appreciate her being out here for sure. I'll send a note to Colston as well, but school right around the corner. We're going to have, always appreciate you guys being around before and after school, so I do have some parking concerns, but I'll send it in an email and I'm going to notify the school as well. So,
All right, we'll be waiting for it.
anything else from council? Thank you very much.
All right,
Be
thank you.
safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is mayor's report. So first and foremost, I would like to welcome everyone to our new city hall. So I am very excited about this space and the project and everything that went into it. To me, this space really honors our past, as well as represents our future. So this has long been the gathering place for community, whether we were celebrating, lighting our Christmas tree, having fire station cookouts, to those disasters and emergencies where this is where people gathered just naturally, where our first responders came to our assistance. Now it represents the progress and the growth. It's the safe and functional environment for our city employees to continue to do their amazing work. It's where we can grow the programs and offerings available to our residents. And for me, it's where we will start planning the Alburnett of tomorrow. So I'm very excited about this. I would be remiss if I didn't just say some thank yous. So first and foremost, council, thank you for your trust in undertaking this project. There were a lot of unknowns, but again, I'm excited about where we are. Thank you to Martin Gardner Architecture for bringing our vision to life. Garmin Built for their hard work, meticulous attention to detail. I cannot say enough about just them making sure that everything was in place and fit our needs. They highlighted a few issues proactively. Just really appreciated them making this idea become a reality. And then a special thank you to Chris Shelby for being a tireless advocate for this town, securing us grant funding for this project, and ensuring that everything ran smoothly. He was the day-to-day boots on the ground, and it wouldn't have happened without you, so thank you very much. In addition, I don't like to do all thank yous, but I would like to thank everyone involved in Benefit Day. So it was this past Saturday. It was a roaring success. They tried some new things. Fire department, we appreciate you guys being around on medical standby for the 5K, and then all the organizations. We had several other fire departments come participate in the parade. Emergency management was here. They had the hazmat truck. That was really cool to see. So just a great turnout, and we appreciate the community's support for that event. Quick reminder that city elections are coming up. There's been a lot of attention on Facebook around school board elections. City is the same. So filing period starts August 28th. That's where you can start filing your paperwork. And then that runs through September 21st. For the city, that paperwork gets turned in directly to the county auditor, so downtown Cedar Rapids. If you do have any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions, as can Chris, I'm sure, and we've got a direct line to the auditor too. And then, some exciting news. I didn't necessarily see it in Chris's report, but we did secure a grant, another grant.
Oh. Sorry for.
$100,000 to be exact, for a generator for the new fire station and the well house that sits next door. So that project will be the next on the list. We're super excited. So that came from council, that came from our application with the
Econ.
CDBG
Yeah.
DR grant. So that comes from the state of Iowa. And then just one last housekeeping item. Again, we're all getting comfortable in the new city hall. Reminder for residents, the driveway to the south of City Hall is private property. Our property ends right at the edge of the building, so if you are coming to City Hall, feel free to park out front or use the driveway to the north to go ahead and park around back. There's also an alley off of First Street that you can get to the parking around back as well, but the drive to the south is private property. All right, that is the extent of my mayor's report. I'll move on to council reports, and I will start with Councilor Myers.
Nothing to report.
Councilor Schultz, Councilor Rosenberg, Councilor Trump.
I'm just happy we're in this space, because I know that councilman, Chester and I, we met in the back 12 feet of this building the first several years I was on the council.
Is this a little more comfortable?
Nice digs.
All right. Next, we will move to citizen comments. So we have two types of comments in the city of Alburnett, those for agenda-related items and non-agenda-related items. We do ask that you state your name and address clearly for the record, and that we limit comments to 5 minutes. So I will first start with agenda-related items. Any public comment?
Well, I'm Chief Neighbor, representing the Alburnett Lions Club again. Address is 3944 East Otter Road, Alburnett. And there's really two things, and I'm not sure, one is for the sign. I just want to think there should be a correction on the minutes, because one of the main things was to ask that the Lions Club have a say in helping design the policy. That was omitted from the minutes. So I think that needs to be an addition to the minutes. The second thing is that, and I'm not sure how this plays into the sign, but at July 7th, I had sent an email to the clerk asking to be on the agenda to discuss the sign, with no response, and we weren't on the agenda then, so I couldn't speak about it. On the 14th then, I sent an email asking why, no response again. And then I sent a second one asking how come there's certain minutes and certain videos that aren't on the website, and no response again.
Okay.
So I'm just wondering, is the email address correct that's on the website?
Yes,
Okay, then how come there hasn't been any communication?
I will look into that for you. Absolutely.
Okay, and I assume you're going to be discussing the policy later on?
Yes, I'll give a little preview. There's not much update, but yes, we left it on there just so we don't lose track of it.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll be
So
discussing.
your comment at the last meeting, that the August meetings when you would be doing more detail, is just a few comments and that's it?
Yes, I'll provide that update. I mean,
Okay. Anyone else?
I'm Dave Mahachek, 4276 North Alburnett Road. I've been a member of the community my entire adult life. I'm not an Alburnett resident, but I am a part of the Alburnett community, and that's what I want to speak to you about. When we launched on the campaign to raise money for the sign, it was in the spirit of the community. And our first experience when the sign was up, Tanner Sloan, a world-class athlete, was being recognized, and you took it down. There was another young lady, I believe her name is Carolyn, world-class athlete. She was not recognized. I got this secondhand, but I was told that you didn't feel that that was business that should be on the sign. Folks, that's what the sign is for. We have the school, community spirit, we have the Lions Club, the Diamond Club, our youth groups, our churches, all community spirit. We need to use the sign for what it was intended. And just to be perfectly clear, that is the community sign, bought and paid for by contributions. It's not your sign. Thank you.
I'm Kenny Andrews, 205 First Street, Alburnett. And I've lived in Alburnett for 65 years and been a member of the Lions for approximately 61 years. And I don't know whether you realize how much the Lions have done for the community. From First Street down to Roosevelt, along the railroad tracks. At one time, that was all brush up through there. The Lions cleaned that out. The Lions also put the street signs up. They planted trees and a number of other things for the community. And I have put the sign up on the old sign for about 25 years. And it was on city property, no problem. And we would put things like, right now we would have school starting August 23rd, drive careful, or something like that. Just so the community knows when things are happening. And I think it's a shame if we can't use it as how the sign was intended. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on agenda-related items? All right. Hearing none, non-agenda-related items.
My name is Julie Carson. I live at 309 Willow Street. I was here in June and expressed deeply on how Willow Street speed limit needs signs. And everybody knows this. You can look at that on the video, look at your minutes. July came around and, no, wait a minute, let me go back. In June, it was a motion, it was carried, seconded, and it was carried. Thinking, I left the meeting going, yahoo! I'm gonna get some signs on that street, finally. Tonight I have several people that live on Willow Street that feel the same way I do. We're upset. July came around. Now it's tabled. Very frustrating. I would like an explanation from those that made that motion and those that seconded it. And then all of a sudden in July, didn't speak for me because I wasn't there. Nor any of these other residents. Just looking for answers.
Thank you.
My name is Mark Carson, 309 Willow Street. So the big issue is, that's about the only street in town that's an S-curve. You can't drive on that street the same as you do the regular. There's a lot of young kids in that neighborhood. We've had an issue. The issue has become bigger since the parking at the school moved from the south side to the north side. I understand construction's going on. I see that they've expanded that parking lot now as well. I think there's going to be some construction going on to where all the traffic's going to get funneled down there. And that's just a dangerous situation for the kids. I don't see too many parents that let their kids walk home alone, including yourself. Something needs to be done there. I don't know what gathering new data is going to do for that. We're waiting for an accident to happen here, or we're waiting for, fatality. What the case is, I'm not sure. But like my wife said, it was duly, there was a motion seconded, it was approved. I thought we were moving forward. purchasing a sign. Where are we at with that? Have we bought signs, have we ordered signs?
So I will say, we don't generally comment during this time, but I will comment. The signs have been ordered. What got tabled in July was actually changing the speed limit. So that resolution to change the speed limit is what got tabled, but the signs have been ordered.
Okay, so, it wasn't real clear, just because we watched the video of the July meeting, we didn't make that, because we thought everything was moving forward and a done deal. And then it just got tabled. I didn't see a motion or a second or any vote on that, it just got tabled. So yes, that's the frustration part that we're talking about here. School's 2 weeks away. That's a very dangerous intersection. There's a stop sign there. That doesn't get used most of the time either. It gets rolled through. You know, maybe some crosswalks, some signage, some lines, just for the safety of the kids. We don't have kids in the neighborhood, but I see them go running through there all the time. So that's our concern. That's why we're here. We'd just like to see something move forward, or wanted to see exactly where we were in the process with the sign and if we were still going that way. I would encourage all of you to jump in your car and try to drive 25 miles an hour through there and use that for your own data. But it's just a bad situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Phil, 310 Willow Street. I'm on the same page as him. If you were to stand in his driveway, especially my neighbor Justin, he lives on the straight part, and you can, if you have one of you stand there, or all of you stand there but one, and have the other one drive by at 25, it's entirely too fast. I mean, you feel like they're doing 50, and they're probably not. I would be more about lowering the speed. Because if it's 25, everyone's going to do 5 over. I mean, I'm not saying that you should, but that's just how it is. 15 would make much more sense because they're going to speed past that anyway. And ever since the parking lot's been built, it's been way worse. We lost our mailboxes, me and him did. They're next to each other. We lost both of them in one incident. Kid running late to school came around the corner in the snow, way too fast, ended up in the yard through the mailboxes. The one mailbox was in my neighbor's front yard, it flew so far. I mean, ever since that parking lot's been built, it's been way worse, but it's always been bad enough. I would invite you guys to put all of you but one in a driveway and have the other one just do the speed limit and see what you think. Because in my opinion, it's entirely too fast. Especially with the amount of small children that live on that block. And then the other small children that live on the blocks around it, who have friends that live there and are constantly through there on bikes and skateboards and walking dogs, and I think 25 is way too fast. I invite you to come see for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eugenie Bailey, I live at 304, and I'm one of them. I just want you to know, I'm glad my grandkids are grown, but I see kids, they aren't on the sidewalk, they're on the street, on their butts, on skateboards, 3-4, all over the street. They come around that curve, and you can't see these kids clear down here as well, and when you think about distracted driving anyway, not to mention the cars that are parked on the side that are on the curves. I mean, sometimes you go around a curve and you gotta stop because there's not room for 2 cars to pass through, but I mean, I think we're really lucky there's been no accidents with these kids, and I encourage you too to just know it's not just the kids on Willow Street, it's the kids that are running around the block, and they're on the street, they're not on the sidewalk most of the time. So, it's too fast.
My name's Chelsea Dan. I live at 306 Willow Street, and I've got young kids. And when we first moved to town, I was excited they'd be able to walk, a half a block to school, and I won't let them because that parking lot back there has made me very nervous. Even as an adult woman walking in the driveway area of that parking lot, kids won't stop because they're on their phones, and I've yelled at them. I've heard other parents yell at them. I don't know if that's school property or if that's something we need to take to the school board about getting crosswalks and crossing guards. And I think even having a yellow jacket after school at that crosswalk would slow down that corner. If these guys are all home at end of school day, you can hear multiple men yell slow down, on that block. And it's just scary, it's fast through there. So, lowering the speed or a speed bump even just for a couple months, I don't know if you can rent those, to just get the point across that we need to slow the traffic down there.
Thank you, Jessica. I will say just one more thing, so you mentioned the data. My biggest thing with the data is we get a lot of complaints about speeding, not just necessarily on your street. So for me, it helps qualify the frequency, the extremity of that speeding. So I'm not saying it's not happening, and I'm not saying that 25 miles an hour isn't too fast. For me, in order to get that sign out there, then we are able to set that baseline of, here's when we make this change, because I can't imagine if every street in town was 15 mile an hour. So that is, again, it's no question that it's happening, but for me, that's what the data helps serve, is it gives us that opportunity to find that baseline and define why we made a change here versus not here. We have the tool, so it's something that I would like to use.
Other than that's a unique street in this town compared to all the others.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
It was a selling point for me when I bought my house, was that I felt like I was off the beaten path and I wasn't gonna have a lot of traffic for, like, at the time, 4 young children.
I just have a question. I'm 310 Willow Street, I'm Kelly Hayes. So the data that you're referring to, was it the police radar sign that put up, or where are you getting your data? Because I'd like to see the data during the school year. The summer is one thing, the school year is a completely different game on your street.
And Kelly, that's actually what we discussed at the last meeting.
Okay.
So it is our radar sign.
Okay.
The last time it was placed, I think it was summer, and it was not placed where it should have been.
No.
It was
It
at the
wasn't, yeah,
intersection,
I agree
so
with that, yeah.
we're gonna replace that once school starts.
That's exactly what we were thinking is,
Yeah.
you know,
It
during
was
the summer it's
50
not
feet
bad.
from a stop sign and they couldn't even get up to speed by it. Right.
Some of them can.
So, well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we've seen it,
That's what's
but,
said.
yeah.
So again, signs have been ordered, the resolution is written, we just need to be able to qualify that change, if that makes sense. Because I mean, I get complaints on many, many streets, so.
And that speed limit's gonna be what? And that digital sign?
25.
Oh my gosh.
I came
That
more
just
for
makes-
change
that's
rather
terrible.
than signs myself. Like I said, I invite you guys to drive the,
No, but the digital sign
right, we'll set at the speed limit.
is set at the current speed
Yeah.
limit.
Right.
But we will get any reading. It reads every vehicle that goes by.
317 Willow Street, Justin Moons. We have a golf cart, and when that sign was up, I put it as fast as it would go, and it got up to 15. And I still felt comfortable slowing down, going around curves. So if in a small golf cart going 15, and I still slow down, go around curves, these large cars should be slowing down as well. And they don't. And if I felt like 15 was too fast, 25 is much too fast.
That sign and that data also affords us the opportunity, you saw our sheriff here tonight, we have a direct line, affords us the opportunity to say, hey, this time of day, we need you here. And we as a council, as a city, are able to do that, so.
I volunteer my driveway as tribute to the officer to sit in.
Got some sneaky plans for it.
I'm just, yeah, well, and our kids are getting older too, so their vehicles are on the side street, and so those kids doing 25 coming around those corners and, oh, there's a vehicle there, then they're swerving, and then my other kids are walking. It's just an awful situation. We've had cars go up into yards because they missed the curve and they were going too fast during the summer.
That actually
So-
happened before a parade when there were kids out in their chairs, when the car went up in the yard. It was she knows what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That was a scary day.
I think the sheriff handing out tickets will help them observation of the sign.
Yeah, several
Because
guys. Not
there's
just
no
one
sense
guy.
having a sign if we can't enforce it.
I agree.
Yes, very much so.
Thank you. Any other comments on non-agenda items? All right. into written reports. We'll recognize, we've got the fire department report, starts on page 5 of your packet, and we'll recognize Chief Hoover.
The only addition maybe to that written report is, and I don't know if you are gonna bring it up later, about disposing of some equipment that we've replaced with more current equipment, specifically defibrillator and AED. We have at least 2 that could be utilized somewhere at City Hall here or through the school, if we can get approval to pass those along to somebody that could use it. Other than that, I have a copy of my written report, but
Oh, it's good. Were there any questions on the written part? It's very comprehensive. Appreciate the minutes as well. We do have it on the agenda for the disposition of the 80s. Is it 2 or 3? 5.
there was 3.
Okay. So I do know there's some concern. I mean, we replaced those because they were older.
Yeah, the software was not supported anymore to keep them up to date. They're functioning at this point. So they have some life in them.
Do we know if the school is pursuing the grants and things for additional units?
They did contact the Crime Club and gave them a website to fill out for a grant.
Okay.
And there is one through St. Luke's, and it's really easy to get the AD, and I don't believe that starts until October, maybe November.
So these could be placeholder. Any other questions for Chief Hoover?
Are you gonna, you still have all the tanks upstairs in the storage room? All of the air tanks or?
We have
Up on the mezzanine?
fire extinguishers, we have the air compressor upstairs.
Yeah, you went there a
Some
bunch of
of
small
the
tanks and all
SCBA,
that.
we have some SCBA bottles up
Yeah,
there.
them are not being used anymore, right?
Right, they don't, they aren't certified for the pressure that we use on our current SCBA.
Can we get rid of those?
Yeah, if we can find somebody that has a use for
Take
it.
them? Okay. You know, I talked to Steve, maybe he was here about that. You know, getting rid of them, freeing up space up there. So.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Move on to city administration. Recognize Mr. Shelby.
Yeah, there is nothing, no additions to report. Any other reports that I turned earlier?
Any questions for Public Works, City Clerk, or Treasury?
I have a question. So we're looking at lagoons that don't really need to be dredged now?
So,
What's the status on that?
the status is that where we're at right now, I'd like to do our discharge in September. Then that is going to give me the final say on whether or not we actually need to dredge. As of right now, I'm saying probably not. We are looking very good. Depths have all maintained, static levels. Now then again, it has been kind of a dry year, so we have to take that into the equation. But I can tell you right now, we've got no issues with that lagoon. It's definitely looking the right color. It's bacteria has grown just as it should. Everything's dissolving as it should, and it's working properly. So, yeah. So, but I'll give a final report after we do our next.
Any questions? request for correction to the minutes under citizen comments. So we have the Jean Neighbor representing the Lions Club, address council regarding Lions Club participation in raising the funds for the new sign and use of the digital sign. I would ask and requested Lions Club involvement when creating the policy. I can give you those that afterwards, Chris.
Yeah.
That represent. You also, on the consent agenda, have the bill for the skid loader tread replacement, which did come in under what was approved. So you have two copies. The actual to be paid is $6,725, $6,725.31. We originally approved $7,511.76. The difference is the labor. It went faster than they had quoted us, so that is also on your consent agenda. I would seek a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Myers,
Second.
second by Schultz. Any further discussion? Can I have you amend that to approve with the additions to the minutes?
Approved with the revisions to the minutes.
Do you second his amendment?
I'll second the revised amendment.
Thank you. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. All right, new business. Item A, city insurance and annual renewal. So you do have some options in your packet, starting on page 18. The gist of the story is that our current provider is leaving the state of Iowa, and so can no longer be our carrier. And so we need to select a new provider by the 15th of August, which is when our policy renews. Mr. Neighbor, are you here in case we have any questions? Do you want to say anything, present anything?
Nice to see you. It's good to be here. First, I want to say thanks for serving. And it is fun to be at this new facility and see what's going on in the community the way it should be, citizens. So thank you for letting me be of service in the area of insurance. My name's Alburnett. I've been in the insurance business since 1993. And I thought I'd just say, open it up to questions you might have in case there are any.
Perfect. So we've got two options, EMC, and that is a slight increase in the premium of about, scroll back up, about $1,000 increase, is that correct? Yeah, just under. But I do know the school uses that provider and they're extremely happy with them. They offer some additional things we don't have today, so like some online training that we can leverage for employees around workplace safety and harassment and those types of things. And then, Chris, what else did you highlight?
Well, basically the workman's comp is included, which is something we have separate right now. They also have an Attorney Connect program, which is very nice. It's kind of like an Argus, where we can contact an attorney and ask them questions, and it's covered under the fees. They have an Ask a Nurse program, which is also helpful for our workman's comp, because if we use that program, it does, because it stays a network, it doesn't count against us. And then the one audit instead of a quarterly audit for workman's comp, plus it's one audit for budgeting purposes. I'm only going to have, instead of having 3 policies right now, we have one for fire, one for city, and then one for workman's comp. We'd have one total package that would allow us to do budgeting quite nicely. Their workman's comp is slightly cheaper, and I shouldn't say that, slightly less expensive, but offers more. And what we did pay in a year in advance, we've already talked to that group. We would get that back to be then used as our premium, be prorated for what we've already used, but they would give us that money back. So.
And then the second option is on page 22. Provident, is that how you pronounce that one? So the premium appears to be close to that base cost. You still see the 28,400, but that does not include workman's comp. So that's where you see the highlighted total of almost 35,000, because we need to include workman's comp with a separate provider.
And they do not provide any of those additional services. They do provide a CEC classes for the fire department. That's about the extent. Your other differences is some of the coverage is gonna differ on whether or not we're paying a $500 deductible or a $1,000 deductible. But again, at the end of the day, it's probably okay if we're paying $1,000, but we get better coverage or get more coverage.
What's your experience been as an agent working with both these companies?
I would say there hasn't been a lot of experience with the new carrier brought in to replace Continental Western.
You mean EMC?
Actually, no. Providence, we don't have a lot of background and data. We have much more history with EMC. And I'm not saying that other carrier that's replacing Continental Western, the carrier that left the state, is a bad one. They may be very good. I think they have some of the things that EMC is touting. They might just not have brought them to the forefront.
Well, I know Walker and I know Centerpoint use EMC as well as Shoe. There's a couple others.
Do you handle both of these companies, or is this Provident?
We handle both of these
Okay.
carriers, yes. In addition to those, we also reached out to Travelers, excellent insurance
Yep.
carrier. But they're probably more suitable for a very sizable municipality rather than Alburnett. And I should mention, you know, Chris Mattis would have loved to be here tonight. She did a lot of the heavy lifting on this, but unfortunately, she found out late that she was being requested to be here, and her and Bob had already scheduled netting of their grape vineyard tonight, so was unable
I didn't mean to
attend.
look sideways when you came in. I was expecting Chris.
Yeah, exactly. What are you doing here? That was, wanted to mention it. So, I probably, if I were in your shoes, I probably would select EMC. Even though that workers' compensation policy that you've had for so long with that other carrier really worked well, and actually it's a little less expensive. It would get rid of the quarterly audits, and it would be able to envelop the work comp under your EMC umbrella. So I'd probably make that change too. That just makes sense.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course. And thanks for letting me serve, and Chris too.
Any other questions? We do need a motion tonight, because as I mentioned, policy lapses on the 15th.
I would make a motion that we go with EMC.
Motion by Cox, second by Rosenberg. Any further discussion?
Does that include the workman's comp?
Yes, it is. I'm sorry, who was the second?
Rosenberg. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, next item is the City Hall security camera quote. Oh,
Quick
sorry.
question there. So there'll be some forms. Is it okay to electronically send those for
Yep.
electronic signature?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that was all right.
Yeah, and Chris should have my email address.
Yep, absolutely.
Great question.
Can you make sure Chris sends it to her and CCs me?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So many Chris's.
It's all the Chris's. All right, so you have a quote in your packet from Hawkeye Communication. This is, I'm gonna be honest, it's the only quote we pursued because we already have service with them for the fire station. So this keeps everything on the same system. So this will be for cameras in the office, in the vestibule, and then covering all the exterior sides of the building. And, sorry, page 24.
And this is setting the cameras up and getting everything wired. Is there an ongoing cost after that, then? In
Yes.
addition to what we have with the fire department?
There is an annual additional licensing fee of $154 per camera. This quote includes 3 years worth of licensing. We're paying up front for 3 years to license. Essentially, it's cloud storage for
Yeah.
the videos.
But they do provide customer service. They're really good about if we have issues or if there's a problem, we need to get something, they'll come out and do it.
Do we have any idea
Where
where they would mount?
There's gonna be one here, there'll be one in the vestibule, there'll be one pointing this direction, one pointing that direction, and then one on the green space outside.
You could have one at the back door. Okay.
Well, plus it'll get this entire area right here. Access, and I'll have access to it all the time, so.
Are they completely stationary or are they able to?
It is stationary, but they're like the 360.
Those are 360 dome cameras. Says the only thing additional that we need to provide, Joe, to your question, is internet connection. But it looks like the rest is included installation. So this is for a total of, so again, it's, what did I say, 5 cameras? 6 cameras. For a total of $8,663.73. Did they say when these could be installed?
Within a week of us putting in the thing is what they're saying. It's pretty quick.
And you got no problems out at the fire department, do you?
No.
They've been reliable. We've pulled video, it's crystal clear.
And it can be accessed from the laptop at any time. So I'll have a station in here that actively counts, looks at it.
Just a comment, do they have battery backup?
Oh, good question.
If they don't, I would recommend it.
It does not say.
How long do you keep the data on the camera?
Looks like it's 30 days.
Oh,
That can be downloaded then too, right? If
Yes,
For some reason you want to store something for a longer time.
that is correct. I think we should follow up on the battery
Yeah,
backup.
yeah,
That's
that's
a good call out.
Thanks for bringing that up, Jim.
From experience.
Yeah.
The ones at the firehouse are hardwired. I know they are,
Yeah.
because if they were battery backup, we would have been changing those a long time ago.
We would, we can ask them about it.
You're gonna have a generator there evidently, so
Yeah,
that covers
there's a
that, but
backup
you won't have a generator here.
powered cameras.
Are we generated here?
We're generated here.
Oh, then you may not need it.
Does it come on automatically?
It's
Yes.
motion censored, so yes, it comes on out
No,
of
I
it.
think you meant
Generator.
generator.
Oh, the generator, yeah, so yeah.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
I mean, we've got a
We
company
test
company
every,
that
we
takes care
test,
of the maintenance on that, right?
correct, but we test every month.
Yeah, it's monthly.
And plus it's on auto cycle, so it actually tests itself.
Correct.
Any other questions?
Still want to look at it? Battery backup?
I don't think so, especially, so the generator we have right now is LP, but we are looking to convert to natural gas. So once we do that, we shouldn't have any.
If we lose power right now, how long does it take for this thing to fire up again? We,
I guess it's normal
It's
time.
pretty instantaneous.
That's pretty short.
we don't need a battery backup.
Because with this being the previous fire station, it's generated.
And we have battery backups. All of these computers are set up on battery backups.
The cameras wouldn't be though.
They wouldn't be unless we ran a lead to it, then we could. They could have them on the APCs. Because we've got an extra APC in there, so we can do that.
Oh, okay. So I think we're covered. Good discussion.
Thank you, Chief.
for a motion.
I would love a motion.
I move that we purchase the 6 cameras as proposed by Hawkeye Communication.
Motion by Myers,
Second.
second by Trum. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. HR Green, water service valve mapping, GIS. We discussed this at our last meeting. I had questions on how some of the contract verbiage was written regarding, it essentially said they would not mark curb stops that they couldn't see, but that's part of the problem we're looking to solve, is we have some we can't find. And so that seemed counterintuitive. They have fixed that language. They still appreciate if we could mark the ones that are visible, but they will come out and locate ones that are not. So that was what needed to be changed on this agreement. So this will give us GIS mapping within inches of curb stops. The total for the contract is $8,950. And it will be on the same GIS map as all of the other work that HR Green has done for us. So this will help with locates, water shutoffs, even services. If someone's having an issue, we can quickly go out and find their curb stop for them. And again, we have not a lot, but some in town that we aren't able to locate. Any questions on the project?
I do have a question about the water main and curb stops. I'm actually having a water issue at my house right now. And
Can I talk to you after the meeting on that?
I was gonna mention it.
Any questions from council? I'll be honest, this is a nice to have, but it is our responsibility. Anytime there's a locate, we go out and locate the water. And again, we've got the handful that, should we have any billing issues, we would not be able to follow through with a shut off for those residences. Oh, I'm sorry, 27. You told me that before the meeting to tell you what pages we're on. Page 27, you'll see the lump sum. If there are no questions, I would seek a motion to approve the water service valve mapping project with HR Green.
So moved.
Moved by Trump, second by Bosenberg. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, Fire Department new member applications. So this is page 30. Got 2 new individuals to join the department. Chief Hoover has given his recommendation. Anything you'd like to say?
We can always use more.
You gotta say it louder than that.
Anybody that lives on Willow Street could probably respond very quick.
If there are no questions, I would seek a motion to approve the new member applications for Melissa Stoll and Nash Hamilton.
So moved.
Moved by Myers,
Second.
second by Trum. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right. Park engineer selection. So you have 3 quotes. And this is for the actual design work of the park. Last meeting, we approved the grade work. So this would be to actually design the amenities and where those will be. So we've got a quote from MSA. This includes 1 conceptual development, which they would then turn into the consensus plan. And that, their estimated fee is $5,000. We've got HR Green. They are offering 2 conceptual plans or sketches. And then once we review those, they would come back with 1 preliminary concept. And their quote is for their quote is a little bit longer. 1 second. Thank you, $14,900. We've got a third quote from a firm out of Des Moines, Veenstra and Kim. Theirs is the same as HR Green, so 2 conceptual designs, and then they work that into a preliminary. And their total was,
17,250.
thank you, $17,250. So while MSA is the low bid, I will say we've had a lot of experience with them. Their bid may look low, but you all can probably speak to it just as well as I can. They tend to come in with a lot of changes and/or oversights. And we have found that their quote does not always reflect the amount of work that is needed or what we end up paying them in the long run, so.
The quote isn't always complete.
It's true.
Very thorough, wise terms.
Yeah. And really with the 1 conceptual design, it just kind of feels like a take it or leave it. Like they'll come back with a concept, and if we don't like it, I don't know what we do from there. Versus the other 2 firms that are giving us comparables.
I don't know, I think we've had pretty good luck with HR Green. They've been pretty easy to work with, and as far as I know, they're satisfactory.
Chris, do we have a budget worked up for the park?
We do. It's in our capital improvement projects funds, is that where most of it's coming from. Lots, obviously, we have decided to use some of that, and any other excess that we might pull from. I am looking to possibly get a grant for this. I'm looking at 3 separate grants, but I'm trying to put it together. But again, it's gonna take time before I can apply for some of those.
Well, and you said this will actually help, having the conceptual drawing.
Yes,
is what
anytime
helps
we
apply for
have,
those grants.
anytime we go, especially with these grants, because they're extremely competitive, we need to bring forward everything that, like, we need to have the engineer, we need to have a plan in place. They like to see that kind of stuff, because then we're not just saying, hey, we wanna put in a nice little, merry-go-round somewhere on our property, we're gonna call it a park. They wanna see what we've actually conceptualized, and the park committee has basically, come up with a lot of great ideas. And so we've got a very good vision, we just need to get it on paper now. So.
Any other questions? Between HR Green and Kim?
Have you heard much about Kim?
I have heard some. Some people say that, they're really easy to work with. They like to listen to you as far as, making sure that what you're getting is what you get. And then others said, they were okay. So it doesn't seem to be like a straight down the borderline consensus, whereas HR Green, I've heard nothing but good things. We've worked with them. We have a good reputation with them. Tim's very easy to work with. And, I kind of like to go with what I know.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way with HR Green, just because, they want to keep us as a client too. They're going to make sure that they put this effort, and if we are another company that's just a one-off, doesn't provide any other services, if they muddy the waters here, then there's no skin off their backs.
HR Green is consistently delivered on time, on budget.
And they were the ones that reached out to me with grant opportunities. I've never had any other engineer group come and say, by the way, did you know about this grant? You know, you should apply for it. And I'm like, oh, thanks.
So are you seeking a motion?
I would take a motion.
I would move that we move forward with the HR Green for the city park proposals.
Motion by Myers,
Second.
second by Trump. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. All right, 11F, the disposition of AEDs. So we talked about it during the fire report. We've got 3 AEDs that are sitting in the storeroom. We recently replaced those for the fire department with what we have leased from Cintas, and they are compatible with area ambulance, and they are up to date.
What page are you?
I don't believe there is a page for this, because we're just,
So they are available because they've gone with this other supplier.
correct.
Correct. How long were they, is there an expiration date on those, or how long are they good for?
It said the support for them is not there anymore, so they're good as long as they last, basically. But, so there's some value in the meantime.
So how do you know when they drop dead?
There's a self-check on them. So
Okay.
they can be checked, to see that they're still working properly.
Okay.
My other thought is, so the question was whether we want one here at City Hall, again, until we can apply for the grant and get one that way. We would at least have something. And then the school has a need, either at the building or at the sports complex. We would have to be clear with them that they are receiving them as is. There's no warranty, but in my opinion, and I'm sure this would be the chief's opinion as well, an AED that might work 50% of the time is better than no AED at all. Right now, if you were to be out at the complex, potentially, I know they have one in the concession stand, but if they put it on the other side of the football field, for example, they don't have one today, so. How many pads do we have to go with those? And are those current?
We have some pads, I don't know the number.
I think we ordered right before we switched over, right? So they should have some life in them as well. Because pads and batteries also expire.
Right. Is this something that could conceivably last 1, 2 years, and then you would say, up front, you'd have to tell them, these are the parameters you're dealing with, that you should know after 1 or 2 years, these will probably not work.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't know.
There's no telling how long, I'm sure they'll
But
work.
it's more of a software
Right.
issue. But as far as batteries and pads, those are, well, we bought them, so they're accessible.
They're all replaceable.
Okay.
We are giving these to the school, right?
The proposal was 2 for the school and 1 to keep here at City Hall.
Yeah, we're not selling them any.
Correct, no, these are
That
donation.
was my point.
Donation.
I don't want to sell somebody something that quits tomorrow.
Yeah, as long as we're crystal clear to the school district that,
Right.
this is why they're receiving them, they're no longer supported. Please don't look at this as your primary AED.
Yeah.
These are just supplemental to put in places that might not have one right now, but might not necessarily need in the future.
When did those ones, the new ones, remember?
When did we get the new ones?
No, what did they remember? Anybody remember that? Because you know what. they
Well, we
cost.
leased the ones from
We
Cintas.
lease them.
I don't remember what they were new. I don't have that
Probably like 4. I want to say I remember paying 3.
We don't have that in there.
I don't have that exact information, sorry.
Let's ask an insurance agent, does this open us up to some liability?
Well-
Unnecessary liability?
Even if you got sued for that, the policy would respond, but you're giving them to them. Which liability you have? They can do what they want with them.
There are about 1,400 of these.
You can get sued for anything.
Again, it.
You get sued for anything, but the question is, if you do get litigated against, would the policy that you have right now, or the one you're gonna have with EMC respond? The answer is yes. So,
That answers that.
Yeah, as long as we're,
Goes to gift.
again, very clear in terms of upon them receiving it, hey, these are this old, they're no longer supported as of such and such date, then,
Do the regular checks on them?
yeah.
Well, we should probably draft a letter, give it to them explaining all this black and white.
Yep.
That once they're yours, they're yours,
Yep, as is.
as is.
If you have that, I'd suggest they sign it. You can keep your copy.
I would seek a motion to offer 2 of the available AEDs as a donation to the school and bring the 3rd to City Hall.
So,
Moved by Myers,
Second.
second by Shantz. Any further discussion?
We might put a letter to go with it.
I'd like to amend that motion
Put a letter to go with it.
to incorporate the language that when we do this, that they know these are older pieces of equipment and that they're taking them at their, I guess, their own risk or.
As is.
No, disclaimer in there with it, basically.
Yeah, that's probably the best way.
Chris, do you accept the amendment?
I do.
I don't know if you have to second the
I'll
amendment.
second
All right.
amendment.
All right, there's an amended motion on the floor. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, page 55, last page of your packet is resolution 2023-16. So this is for transfer per the FY23 budget. So these were funds that we budgeted. We just need to make the transfer from one account to another. Most of it is debt service. So you'll see from road use into debt service to pay the bond for Muthart, so on and so forth. You can read on those. So these were planned. They were budgeted for. We just need to make the actual transfers into those accounts.
I move we adopt resolution 2023-16.
Motion by Trump,
Second.
second by Bozenberg. Let's take this one by roll call, please.
Council Trump,
Aye.
Council Rosenberg,
Aye.
Council Shantz,
Aye.
Council Myers.
Motion carries. All right, old business, digital sign policy. So we have had a preliminary consultation with the lawyer, just to help start answering some of those questions that we had about what we can and can't do. I will apologize about the lack of movement. I was out of town for a couple of weeks. So we are back, and we are formulating the plan for getting the nonprofits together. Again, I mentioned last time, I've got my questions, I'm solidifying those, and so we will be moving forward. But it wasn't all idle time. We did get some initial response from the lawyer, so that's been great guidance. So, any question on the digital sign policy? I hope to have a really good update. One thing I did want to mention, I hope to have a good update by September. I will ask for patience in delivering the final product to council. a lot of times when we do these things, we borrow. So with recodification and other policies, even some of our resolutions, we borrow from what's out there. There's not a lot out there, so we're starting this one from scratch. So other communities don't have something like, neighboring communities that we partner with either don't have a sign or don't have a policy in place. So just as we pull this together, be patient with us, we'll make sure we've got everything included. And we'll continue to look on ClerkNet and see if there's any other guidance out there and use our resources that way. Any questions on the sign policy?
And there will be meetings with the Lions as you're handing this out.
Yep.
So there are gonna be meetings with the Lions.
Yep.
And all other
All the
organizations.
nonprofits. Yep.
So it won't just be the Lions and the city, it'll be everybody else,
Yep. All the nonprofits,
nonprofit.
the community.
Have a whole say.
Will that include, will that include the school? Or
No.
not, a nonprofit then, okay? Just a nonprofit.
Just the nonprofits. The school has their own sign.
Great.
No, they don't.
Well, they removed it, but they have their own sign. I have a question into school board about whether it's going back up.
It's not.
All right, on to 12B, City Hall updates. So, as you can see, this will probably be the final time that this is on the agenda, but I did want to provide just some closing remarks on our City Hall remodel. So, the original projected estimate from the architect, from the engineer, was $345,519. That includes our contingencies and everything else. I can get you these numbers so you don't have to jot it down. The original bid from Garmin was $282,009. The actual cost of the build ended at $311,050.91. We did have, so that's just the cost of the build. We did have some additional costs associated with the project. So that was $5,523.33 for the parking regrade that was done on the north and west sides of the building. And then miscellaneous wiring, cabinets, supplies, so things like the kitchenette, we bought the finished work in there, and that's $4,023.55. So the overall final cost, still under what was projected at $320,597.79. The good news to go along with that is that we received $215,000, $215,126 in grants. That includes the grant from the County Board of Supervisors, as well as our ARPA funding that we had earmarked for the project. So the total out-of-pocket cost for the city was $105,471.49. So I feel like we were fiscally responsible, we managed the project well, we minimized change orders, and we came out under budget, and then all of that grant funding and the ARPA funding was super helpful. We do have a few outstanding items, in addition to a couple of punch list things from the final walkthrough. So we're working on getting a lock on the door coming into City Hall, so that we can keep traffic into the lobby area. And then there was some electrical stuff, but I believe that's all been resolved, is that, with the lighting?
Yeah, the lighting is all taken care of.
Yeah. So just a few punch list things. Outside of the punch list, we as a city are responsible for, we need to paint the handicap signs, paint the handicap space out front and the parking spaces, so we'll get that put down on the concrete. We will put a railing where the concrete drops off, where there's a step. We're going to include a barrier just in front of the building to prevent any accidents. We're gonna multi-purpose that as a bike rack. So that's yet to come. A little bit of cosmetic with the shutters on the side of the building where they bricked in that window. We agreed to do that post-project. And then we're gonna outfit a few things for the vestibule, security cameras, which we approved tonight. We're discussing another TV on this side of the room for anyone in attendance. And I believe that is it. We have not talked about that yet. So, oh, and blinds for the windows.
The lines are everywhere.
It's not something we could do ourselves, so that would have to be a different project. This is all stuff we'll do ourselves.
And I think we were kind of waiting to see what we were gonna do with that other half over there. So we don't put it on and then turn on, take it back off.
Also, a question about our doors. Do they need to be automatic doors since we're a municipality for ADA compliance?
I don't know those regulations that well. I can ask. I don't think so. So they're zero entry, so there's no step, and it's wide enough. We've got the doorbell out there so that they can ring for assistance. I don't know if the doors actually have to be automatic, but we can check on that. Any other questions or comments on New State Hall? All right. That brings us to item 13, final comments and discussion. We'll start with Councilor Trump.
I'm glad you got the desk to fit.
Me too.
That's it.
Councilor Mildenberg?
Oh, glad we're in here and just want to say kudos to our new employees. I think they're doing wonderful. City Bean Sky has been really rocking it and doing wonderful. And give him something, he gives her done. And Liz has been catching on real quick too, so it's great to have a good crew.
Councilor Myers?
I just really happy with where we're at right here. This is a much better view than previous city hall. I don't have a cat on the other side of the wall making noises through council meetings, so it's.
No more meowing.
Yeah, no,
You could probably arrange that, just tuck one in the records room in there, it'll be fine.
just have a, city cat, Like, from what I understand, there's a few of them roaming around town and who you just adopt.
All right. The only thing I have is Chris did have it in his report. We're gonna start budgeting, planning for next year's budget a little bit earlier this year. So come November, really start working on those wish lists, those punch lists. I'd love to be thinking about our next big project, just to keep the momentum and keep things moving. So November will be here before we know it. Just keep that front of mind as you're milling around. Chris, any final comments?
Do not.
All right. With that, I would seek a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Motion by Bozenberg, second by Trum. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.